Hello everyone that's going to be jumping on. I wanted to talk about something in specific today because it's quite funny. I made a video about this a while ago, but I'm starting to get messages about this particular video, and I wanted to go ahead and break down certain things about this particular disease. So everyone that's joining in, welcome on in. It's a pleasure. My name is Crystal. I run the herbal shop quietcrew.com in real life and online. And I wanted to open up about speaking about this particular disease. If you ever heard of it, or if you know anyone that could be going through this particular disease called Addison's disease. Addison's disease. I recently made a video about Addison disease where I got a lot of feedback from a multitude of people, and I do want to play that for you so you could see a little bit about this concern and what you could do to take care of yourself and getting yourself into a better stand when it comes to it. So let me see if I could get this video for you so I could play it real quick, just for I could give you like the opening understanding about this situation, and we could talk about it. I got a lot of feedback about this problem because something that, you know, a lot of these medical reports say is that, you know, it's a dysfunction. There's, you know, for example, check this out. I'm going to turn over my camera for you could actually see. You know, and this is just a Google search, you know, about this problem, Addison's disease. It's just a simple Google search. But when you look up about this disease, it just tells us that it's a rare disorder. You know, disorder, it's rare, it's a disorder, it's rare, and they just give you the name, you know, okay, Addison's disease, and then you find yourself needing to go all throughout, you know, the internet and try to find the answers, but then you go back to saying the same thing, oh, it's just a rare disorder, it's just, you know, Addison's disease, blah, blah, blah. But when you really look at this concern, you'll see that the concern relates back to the adrenal glands. You know, the adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands are what sits on top of your kidneys. Let me show you. If you just search up about adrenal glands, you'll notice that there are two glands that sit on top of the kidneys, such as like how you see in this picture. And these glands produce a certain job, a certain function. And that certain job and that certain function is to produce these types of hormones or these types of synapses, okay? Because hormones are synapses. Synapses are nervous impulses or nervous electricity pulses that happen when things get triggered or when things physically happen to the body. So the adrenal glands, they carry out a certain function, right? Just like everything else in our bodies, right? All the other organs in our bodies, they carry out a certain function. So when it comes to Addison's disease, the main organ, the main glands that we have to look at are the adrenal glands, because there's a dysfunctioning happening to the adrenal glands. Do you have a parasite kit? Yes, I do. I do have a parasite kit. Let me actually show you my web store. I carry an online herbal shop as well as a real life herbal shop. And this is the website. We have multiple packages for detoxing parasites. Check out the healing packages here, or you could check out the tincture or the tea. But you have a couple of options. We got 5-star rated reviews for the parasite detox kit for those that are having HSV issues, you know, deeper viral loads, things like that. Something to consider. But something to talk about for Addison's disease. Does anyone here have Addison's disease or know anyone that have this concern? Because we're going to be able to break this down a little further here, just for you to understand, what it really comes down to, for you to be able to get some answers and just to know what to do and just to remedy this concern. But let me see real quick if I could find a video that I produced for it, just to give you a little bit of an opening understanding further in this. Let me see. Because we're going to be speaking about particularly Addison's disease. And I have the video here somewhere, so if you just give me a moment. There it goes. This is it. This is the video. So let me play the video for you.
Some things you might not know about Cushing's. Have you noticed many people walking around with a belly sticking out or their shoulders kind of hunchbacked and their legs being kind of weak? Well, let me tell you a little bit about this. Supposedly, it's a very common condition, and the condition actually stems from having high levels of cortisol in your system, going in your bloodstream, Mind you, they say the common cause is the use of steroid drugs. So if you're using steroid drugs, you're more than likely going to have this problem. And unfortunately, a lot of us are on steroids. And
I wanted to stop this video right here because that's the way that most people get this concern. Addison's disease and Cushing's disease. They kind of go hand in hand. They're basically almost just about the same thing. A lot of people tend to get this concern, this problem, after being put on medically some steroid drugs. So what people don't understand is that if you went inside the hospital, right, and you had an infection of some sort, and you wanted to reduce inflammation, the drugs that they give you are steroid derivatives. And if you get on these steroid derivatives for a period of time, this is what causes you of this problem, this Cushing's disease, this Addison's disease. So it's usually 9 out of 10 times because you got some steroid drugs from the medical offices. So that's, hello, Endo. Thank you for, I'm making this video for those that have been commenting, because it wasn't not just only you that wanted to know more about this concern, but many others. And I'm going to break this down for you, for hopefully you to get some ease, peace of mind, better understanding to help yourself. So this is, just pay attention, listen up, share this information with, who you can. Excuse me, I'm getting a couple of work calls. But when it comes to Cushing's and Addison's disease, the people get this because the majority of people, 9 out of 10 people, they go to the medical offices, to the hospital, because they have some sort of infection and they get on some steroid drugs. They could also be put on steroid drugs because of pain, because steroids, what they do is that they stabilize pain. So when people go and they have like an injury, or they go and they have an infection, you go to the doctors, they give you these drugs, and this is what causes the disbalance for your adrenal glands to dysfunction, because the steroids, they work hand in handedly with these other hormones or other synapses that regulate the body and how its physical action is behaving or doing or working. So, that's what majority of people, they find themselves in having this problem. They get on some drugs from the medical offices, and then boom, if they're on these drugs over time, this causes the dysfunction. So we're going to continue with the video.
And I don't mean it to say that we're on steroids.
Oops, sorry.
Some things you might not know about Cushing's. Have you noticed many people walking around with a belly sticking out or their shoulders kind of hunchbacked and their legs being kind of weak. Well, let me tell you a little bit about this. Supposedly, it's a very common condition, and the condition actually stems from having high levels of cortisol in your system.
And mind you, something further that I wanted to speak about this is that these are just the signs that you have this concern. You know, these are just the symptoms, in other words. You get the weight gain around your midsection. You get the fatty deposits around your upper face and upper neck area. You get the fat loss from your legs, but it's not because the disease is causing you that problem. It's because everything that you're doing at the time that you have this disease is falling more upon you, you know, and when things fall upon someone, you know, they tend to not move. They tend to not, you know, go and take a walk, or they tend to just lay down. A lot of people that have this problem, they tend to lay down, especially the ones that get on these steroids, right? Because they got pain, or that get on these steroids because they have an infection that's going on. So these symptoms are not because of the disease itself, of what they tell you that it comes from. No, it's the happenings of while you're fighting this, that this occurs. And there's two different things. And I know you understand that. So going further, you know, the common cause, as you could see here, is by the use of steroid drugs for pain relief or for infection relief, okay, that you get through the medical system. Now, they can also occur by what you consume, okay, because the facts of the reality are, my dear friends, is that whenever we go to eat meat, particularly meat, animal products, dead flesh products, you're eating hormones that are not really coming from your body. They're coming from another animal that experienced a very fearful, very despicable lifestyle before they got killed, that you consume, that activates your hormones in your body, which include for this, okay, these hormones. So you need to understand that, all right? The people that have this concern, Addison's disease, you have to consider stopping all type of dead flesh eating, all right? Because that's the reality of what carries inside the actual meat, inside the actual flesh, which is all the synapses and hormones of the steroids. Because steroids also include for adrenaline, you know, norepinephrine, you know, the other hormones that affect the stability of the other hormones. So let's go continue in this video.
Going in your bloodstream, you know? Mind you, they say the common cause is the use of steroid drugs. So if you're using steroid drugs, you're more than likely going to have this problem. And unfortunately, a lot of us are on steroids. And I don't mean it to say that we're on steroids with, like, you know, injecting our bodies, which some of people are, but steroids when it comes to eating bad food. The other way that your body could produce these steroids is through your adrenal glands. And let me break this down further. Mind you, it says overproduction, which means that the adrenal glands are overworking, okay? They're making more work. They're dysfunctioning. The adrenal glands have a job. And as you can see up here, the job of the adrenal glands is to produce certain chemical compounds, chemical hormones, in other words, that are able to communicate with the whole body. And these are just some of the components that they produce or that they make. You see where it says cortisol and the glucose steroids? Glucose. That's a whole nother video when it comes to.
So when I was speaking about this type of hormones regarding to the steroids, when we look at the hormone cortisol, right? Cortisol, as in for the chemical that is produced inside the body, comes from, right? Comes from what is called, let me show you the picture. If I could get it for you real quick, just for you to have some type of visual. There it is. when we look at cortisol, right, it derives from a certain makeup of what is glucocorticoids. Gluco is glucose, right? When we break down the word, we look at where this word comes from. What is it talking about, right? Because cortisol comes from this word here, comes from this synapse here, comes from this makeup here, glucocorticoids. Gluco, right, is glucose, and then corticoids are steroids, okay? So your actual adrenal gland produces the glucosteroids to make cortisol, okay? If you have high levels of cortisol, that means that you have high levels of glucocorticoids. You see? So what is glucocorticoids? Let's see.
The glucose, but maybe you should be mindful of not consuming too much glucose. Things that, could overbear upon the Cushing's disease, But
and just like I mentioned in this video, if you have high cortisol, right? If you have high cortisol, you have to be mindful that you also have high glucocorticoids. So you have high glucose steroids inside your system. If you're taking in and you're eating foods that have high glucose, processed foods, so on and so forth, right? Because this is where all the glucose, these derivatives come from, right? With the foods that you intake, even if it's just a bite or two, you're taking in more, right, of this problem. So your body would not do anything and can't do anything but bring on more cortisol. You see, if you got more bread in the oven, right? If you're shoving more dough inside the oven, when the oven opens up, it's going to have more bread coming out. So we have to be mindful of what we're consuming, okay? So this is what I'm breaking down in the video.
Further, it shows that most of these concerns stem from benign tumors. Tumors are very scary, right? Because it could potentially become what they say is the big C word, right? But if you notice, all of the symptoms are just the same like any other problem in this world, The skin messes up, you get diabetes, you might have high blood pressure, muscle weakness, all the symptoms are the same. Like all the symptoms of other diseases. It's like...
And what I was breaking down at this point is saying is that all the diagnoses that we read about have all the same symptoms, the same thing. Your skin turns flush. You got high blood pressure. You're weak. You're fatigued. You start having hair fall out. Your periods start to become irregular. It's all the same symptoms like any other disease that we hear about. It's not any different. Don't get scared and thinking that you have something more of a problem because of what, we just read and what we just hear. You know what I mean? Don't be like thinking that you have a big, big problem. And a lot of people, they get a name put to their problem, aka Cushing's or aka Addison's disease, and they feel like it's the end of the world because they got all of these symptoms that they just, put down into perspective. It's the same thing as any other fucking problem. The problems are all the same. And this is what I'm trying to break it down to you in. And they could even break it down to the point that they're just going to come down to saying, hey, you got a tumor. Because that's really what it comes down to. That's exactly what they're going to just break it down to into saying eventually. If it wasn't up to the point of where you're losing your hair or you're having obesity or you're having stretch marks or you're having muscle weakness and fatigue, the worst thing that we hear at the end of the token, at the end of the movie is, oh, you have a tumor. Well, where do tumors come from? This is what causes the concern, right? This is what we get told that, hey, you got a tumor in your gland, right? This is the ultimate ultimatum that they put to you. And then at that ultimate ultimatum that they put to you, they say, okay, you have a tumor. Let's do surgery. Let's charge you 50 grand to get this surgery done. and including for being scared about it, going under anesthesia, so on and so forth, just to take an organ or a piece of your organ out of you to then still get you on medications for the rest of your life. Because that's really what does happen, okay? So, because you got a little tumor on a certain area doesn't mean that it's the main cause of your problem. It's not the tumor that's causing your main problem. It's everything else that was happening before the tumor was even there. The tumor is actually a good thing, you know, with all its respect, because the tumor is actually taking away from the external areas to be any more affected by all the bullshit you're taking upon your body in the first place. That's why tumors grow. Tumors grow because of everything that has been accumulated over time. So, all because you got a tumor, it's not because it's causing the effects. No, the tumor grew because of the effects of the over time accumulation. Okay, so let's go forward.
Crazy, but it's all the same. But what I wanted to tell you is that overabundant amount of certain things that we consume determines what comes out or the effects of things. And we gotta be mindful of what we consume. Because if we're consuming things that are stressing us out, you know, those stress foods, this is what's causing these concerns. There's natural herbs to help. Check out quietcrew.com. See you later.
So what I was mentioning here is that if you're consuming foods that are being detrimental to your body as a whole, right? Your body's gonna be affected, right? There's a cause and then there's an effect. You know, that's universal law. There's a cause and then there's an effect, right? You eat cake all day, cake, then yeah, you're gonna eventually get fat, right? So same thing with tumors, you know? If you're eating something that is gonna be detrimental to a certain gland, particularly for the adrenal glands, right? And you're eating something that's affecting this adrenal gland over time, over and over and over again, what happens? The adrenal gland starts to dysfunction. And with that dysfunction comes its inability to perform its proper action, to perform its proper duty. You see? So this is what causes the concerns over time. You see what I'm saying? And it's not difficult to take care of this problem, right? It's not difficult to take care of this problem when we look at it for what it really truly is. Okay? So when we look at, you know, the adrenal glands, Addison's disease, you'll see it time and time again that it is just a disorder of the adrenal glands. A disorder of the adrenal glands. The disorder could mean that the things that are in order are disorganized. That's it. You know, what you're doing is disorganizing and it's affecting your adrenal glands and its proper function. So how do you remedy this? How do you take care of this? If you have this concern, right? What can you do? Whether you have a tumor or whether you have just the diagnoses or the symptoms. Well, you have to support the gland. You have to stop everything that's causing the disorder, causing the disruption, causing the dysfunction, and put it into proper order and functioning. And the ways that you do that is by taking the proper steps, the proper measures. If you have this problem, what you want to do is focus on supporting the adrenal glands. Okay? How do you do that? How do you support the adrenal glands? Well, you want to obviously get on a proper lifestyle, right? That was made for you in the first place. Okay? Which is consuming. Let me see if I can show you. Let me see if I could show you. I have it in my book. Let me see if I can find it in my book. I have a chart in my book. Let me see here. Give me one moment. Let me pull it up. There it is. There it is. So through data and through history, okay? Oops, let me see. I'm trying to figure this out here. Through history and data collecting, okay, scientifically speaking, when we look at science, because everybody likes science, okay, everybody likes science, everybody likes to see things for what they are when it comes to, you know, the data through the observation of reality, okay? When we look at observation and reality, okay, we are natural frugivores, all right? And here's a chart to show you exactly how we came into knowing this, all right? Through time, through effort, through working, through science, okay? We are to eat predominantly fruit, okay? Anything outside of fruit is going to cause a disruption in your body, okay? Grains, dairy products, meat, processed foods, fake things, is gonna cause a disruption to your human anatomy, through your human body. And there's a multitude and a plethora of information you can find about how the human being is a natural frugivore. So if you have Addison's disease, okay? If you have Addison's disease where your adrenal glands are dysfunctioning, okay? Because that's what it is. That's the diagnosis, all right? Your adrenal glands are dysfunctioning. You want to get on the proper foods, the proper eating lifestyle, to get your adrenal glands to start up and to functioning. All right. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to get on the proper lifestyle, the food lifestyle. Okay. And in other words, you want to eat the foods that your body utilizes easiest. Okay. Your human anatomy, your digestive system, your pancreas, your liver, your small bowels, your lower intestines, your brain, all derives and uses fructose, fruit sugar to function. Period, point blank. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No matter how many times other people spin it off to make you eat a sausage, to make you eat their what is it? Let me show you. No matter how many people want to try to make you think that you are made to eat, chickens and, dead animals, at the end of the day, scientifically, we are natural frugivores. And you can look this up in any which way form that you possibly can. You would see the data, the observations, the studies before your eyes. We are natural frugivores, period, point blank. And if you got this problem, or if you got any problem, that's the first thing you want to do. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to immediately get upon utilizing the natural foods you're supposed to consume that nature has intended you to consume in the first place. Okay? With doing that, okay, with getting on the natural foods you're supposed to consume in the first place, okay, this would allow your body to have the electrical synapses, the energetic happenings, the energetic position to work appropriately, okay, to perform as it should, okay? So that's exactly what you want to do. Fructose isn't good for the liver. That is a lie. Don't listen to Meg. It is not correct. Fructose is not bad for the liver at all. What is bad for the liver is high fructose corn syrup, which is a spin-off, okay, in the ways that they try to kill people with putting it into processed foods, which is a completely whole different type of sugar. So all the bullshit that you hear about high fructose corn syrup, being fructose, natural occurring fructose, is nothing the same. You know, a biochemist could tell you that. So Meg is completely and totally incorrect when she mentions in my comment section that fructose is not good for the body. So I'm gonna mute her for now because she needs to pay attention. So I'm gonna let you stay on, but you're incorrect with your statement. Now, going forward, okay, like we were mentioning, if you have a dysfunction in any organ, in any gland in your body, the way that your gland will jumpstart into functioning is if it has the proper fuel source, energy source, electricity source to do its job. Okay? And the ways that the body does that is by consuming the foods that were made for your body in the first place, which is to consume fruit. All right? Period, point blank. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a reality. It is science. It is a real thing. So you want to get on raw whole foods, okay? With eating predominantly fruit, okay? As much fruit as you want. As much fruit as you want, because there is no limitation, okay, on the natural foods an animal is supposed to consume. Through observation, we see that, okay? You never see a lion being fat in nature. You never see a bird being fat in nature. You never see an animal in nature getting sick. And the reasons behind that is because they eat and they're strict on eating solely what nature has provided them and what they're supposed to consume. Okay, it's only the human being, the human nature that wants to act silly, that wants to be fun and games and joke and explore for against their own good. Okay? So you want to get on the rightful lifestyle, the rightful food consumption, because anything that you take into your mouth is being processed and understood and interchanged and managed and done inside of your body. And that's the first thing. Anything that you take upon your body inside of it especially is obviously gonna change or manage your body. So that's the first thing you want to do. Okay. It's not rocket science. All right. You want to get on the rightful lifestyle, eating predominantly foods that your body was made to eat in the first place, which is fruit. All right. No amount of fruit could get you sick. Okay. All the stuff that you hear online is a lie. It's a spin-off. And for having them, okay, these entities, these companies to get you to eat their foods, which continues on their money making. All right. They don't care about your health. Okay. They just care about their gains and how they're making money. All right. And when it comes to reality, okay, and true reality, you are a natural frugivore. You're supposed to be eating predominantly fruit. Period, point blank. Okay. Now, when it comes to going back to, let me get it for you, the picture here. When it comes to the adrenal dysfunction, okay? Even if you have a little tumor on your adrenal gland, okay? You still have to support your adrenal gland for your adrenal gland to be able to take care of that tumor. Because the tumor is on top of the adrenal gland. All right? There's no other area in your body that's going to help it aside from itself of what it's on top of. So you got to support your adrenal glands. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So you need to support your adrenal glands. And the ways that you could do that is by taking natural herbs. Okay? There are natural herbs to help with the functions of the adrenal glands. Now, what are these herbs? I'll let you know. Okay? The kidney and adrenal support tea tincture on my website have the herbs to take care of you for this. Okay, this is why I created the website, for I can reach people amongst the world to help themselves naturally. All right. If you check out the Access tincture, Let me get it for you could actually see it with your own eyes. There is a tincture that's called the adrenal support tincture. Okay? This is the tincture that you could consider getting, all right? These herbs are phenomenal for the adrenal glands, okay? You want to get on multiple formulas, okay? Especially if you have a very deep, heavy backing for your adrenal glands. If your adrenal glands are just not functioning at all and you've been tried and tested in your doctor's office and they just say your adrenals are just kaput, you want to double on your dosage for the herbs. You want to even sometimes triple your dosage for the herbs and helping you bring back the support of this gland, okay? So you could consider getting on the Quiet Crew Herbal page and getting the adrenal support tincture, okay? You could also get the adrenal and kidney support tea, okay? I walked people out of dialysis with this tea, okay? It's $25. It's worth your every penny. The herbs inside this involve ashwagandha, rhodiola, juniper, uva ursi, neem leaf, kava, nettle root, nettle seed, chancapiedra, dandelion. There's a multitude of herbs in this proprietary blend that you will never find anywhere else for the price that I have it on at my herbal shop. So this is also something that you want to definitely consider, okay? If you have the concerns of Addison's disease, okay? You also want to get some pituitary tincture, okay? Because the pituitary works alongside the adrenal glands, okay? So the adrenal glands, right, also have other organs that help manage it. And those other organs are the brain. So you want to, for certain, back up not just your adrenal glands, but your brain, the gland in your brain, which is the pituitary gland, and also for the pineal. If you get on excuse me, sorry about that. I had an interruption. If you get on the quietcrew.com page, you could even find the pituitary brain tincture, okay? The tincture you would also use multiple times a day. There are also capsules you could use. They're called the brain support capsules. And they're right here. You could find the brain support on the website. And you could even use a tea, okay? What you want to do is you want to get on the rightful lifestyle, aka eating the rightful foods, utilize the herbs, and continue and being consistent. As long as you're consistent, then the ability of your adrenal glands will start to function and stabilize. Now, it does take time, okay? This is not something that you just take and then whoop-de-doo, you get better in just one day or 2 nights. This is something you have to stay consistent in, okay? You have to live your life rightfully as life always intended you to live, okay? And staying consistent. And with utilizing what nature provided over time, you'll find yourself getting better. Obviously, you also want to make movements. You know, you want to move, you want to walk, okay? Your adrenal glands, your kidneys, let me show you the picture. Your kidneys sit right on top of where your legs are, okay? So if you have a momentum of walking, okay, this will bring some sort of pressure or some sort of working, okay, as you walk, right, to the higher portions of your body, okay? Because the body works again as a system, okay? So you all obviously want to also produce. You also obviously want to produce movement to get this system to work, okay? Don't think that you're just gonna pop a pill, a capsule, an herb, and not make an effort in moving, okay? They all work together. The brain, the thyroid, the heart, the kidneys, the adrenal glands, your peristalsis in your bowels, your nerve synapses, your peripherals, they all work together. You have to make movement, okay? Because you have Addison's disease does not mean that you're just gonna pop a pill and stay home and just sleep all day, okay? Because the realities of who I work with, it happens. You know, that's the people that I work with. The people that I work with, you know, they sit their bodies at home thinking that they're just gonna pop a pill and think that they're not gonna turn out to look like this. Of course you'll look like this. If you're not working and you're not making an effort and you're laying down and your legs are going to get weak. You know, there's going to be some loss of muscle tissue off for your legs. You're going to have the happenings for your midsection to gain weight because all the food's that's stuck in there, you know, and this is what happens. You see, and this is what continues on the cycle of this problem. So this is what it ultimately comes down to. All right. So you guys know now a little bit about what I just discussed. Okay. If you have this problem, you need to stay consistent. Okay. It's not something that is going to get over and done with over the years and years that you've done bad to your body. Okay. You just need to be consistent. You need to push through. You need to utilize the herbs, a multitude of herbs, and continue strong, okay? You need to mentally be prepared, okay? And see things for what they really, truly are. Your conscious mind, okay, needs to be prepared, okay? And seeing things for what they are and staying consistent of what makes you better for real, for real, for real, okay? Stop with trying to get confused. Stop with researching. Researching never gets anybody anywhere, okay? What you want to do is just get the answer, okay? This is one thing, if you know me, and I tell you all the time, same things all the time, over and over again. Stop with the research. Stop getting confused. Just get the answer. Okay? And the answer is to going back straight to nature, utilize nature because nature has always been there. It has always survived people. It has always been present for you to wake up and live through with nature. Okay? So I hope that this video helps you and that I walked you into doing what you can for you to be able to take care of this problem and remedy this problem. All right. I'm going to give you guys like 2-3 minutes for questions before I have to go because I got some work phone calls I have to take care of. What can help with endometrial hyperplasia? So this is the same thing. You know, when it comes to anything in the uterus, like hyperplasia or fibroids or scarring of any sort, you know, you have to consider that, you know, it's basically stagnation. Let me show you here. It's basically stagnation that hardens over time. Okay? That's basically what happens. It's stagnation that hardens over time. And if you're eating foods that harden things, okay, that break down things and cause them to harden, over time, this is what causes this problem. Okay? Okay? And as you could see, hyperplasia is just an enlargement of an organ, okay? Because of the overproduction of the cells. But it's not so much of an overproduction of cells. It's the underproduction of the tissue being able to escape on time before you clump it up with even more garbage. So uterus problems, fibroid problems, they all stem from the same thing. An overaccumulation of bad stuff that accumulates, the bad chemistry that accumulates, that clumps up and causes the dysfunction to then be diagnosed and then have the problem of what you're speaking on. Endometrial hyperplasia. They just put a name to it to get you scared, but it's all down to the same stuff that we're talking about now. And again, it's the same thing, stagnation. You want to consider, if you have this problem, you want to get the uterine cyst dissolver tea. On the herbal shop, you can find the uterine cyst dissolver. It's $25. If you check this one out, you'll literally see the 5-star reviews from multiple people that wrote for it. Something to consider. Something to consider. All right. I must go on my separate ways, my dear friends. It's always a pleasure. Feel free to reach out to me through my email, through the website. You could reach out to me also at my business phone number. And it's always a pleasure, friends. Love and light, my dears. And bye for now.